Go for it.
All right, hey guys, this is Miss Moss here, and Miss Thomas she's actually filming, and we're going to be switching back and forth. But it is Friday, September
11th.
the 11th. Thank you, Mrs. Thomas. And this is your sugar solubility lab. So you should have printed this, or not printed this, but you should have this document pulled up. So you're going to actually watch as we do the lab, and you're going to be filling in your lab sheet. Okay, so the big question today, what factors can affect the solubility of sugar in water? We have all of our materials set out here. We have some beakers, we have water that we're going to get straight from the sink as well as from a hot plate. We have some thermometers to measure our temperature. We have some spoons for stirring. We have a stopwatch. I'm going to use my phone. We have our balance here, and then we have 3 types of sugar. So we have granulated sugar, powdered sugar, and we have sugar cubes. Okay? So, data collection. Again, we're going to be writing on our data table. We're going to be showing it to you so there's no confusion, and you're simply going to be filling in your data table as you watch this video. So it's very important you pay close attention to the steps of this procedure for each trial. We're going to have 3 different trials. And please note that cold water is just water straight from the faucet, and our warm water is going to be back there off of the hot plate. It's being heated, okay? So in trial number 1, so we're talking about right here on our data sheet, trial number 1, I'm going to be changing the temperature of the water to determine if it affects the solubility of granulated sugar. In 1 beaker, I'm going to have 50 mils of cold water. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that out. And then I'm going to have 50 milliliters of hot water. Oops, gotta measure from the graduated cylinder. So 50 mils of hot water, or relatively warm. And now we're going to be weighing out 5 grams of granulated sugar into each beaker. So let me get...
Oh, we were supposed to use those other ones. That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to measure it out in here, and then I'll just add it to our containers.
Well, first thing we want to do is we want to take our container. There you go. Put it on, and we have 0
grams. So it's on grams, and it's at 0. So now we're going to add as close to 5 grams as we can get of sugar. A little too much. There's 5 grams.
Perfect.
I'm going to need 1 more little small beaker, Mrs. Thomas.
That's going to be it. There you go.
There you go. So we're going to have this in front of our cold water. And again, I'm going to place my second beaker here. It's back to 0. I'm going to add 5 grams.
Which is just about a spoonful. A little less.
Okay, so there's my 5 grams. That's going to go in this. So in your data table, you're going to write for beaker number 1, which we have 50 milliliters of cold water. You're going to write, 5 grams. And in beaker 2, you're going to also write 5 grams. And now we're going to take the temperature.
We'll put this down so we can see what's going on with the thermometer. Are we taking the temperature of both of these, Mrs. Moss?
We are, but we're going to do the cold from the faucet first. And are we going to use Fahrenheit or Celsius, Mrs. Thomas?
Which the one that we're supposed to use? The one on the right or the left? Well, 32 degrees Celsius is freezing, right?
That's right.
So, I think I'm going to use Celsius. What do you think?
I think that's the best choice. And if we look here, the red line looks like it is about 22 degrees Celsius.
I think that's right. So let's fill that in on our paper. 22 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, we've put the thermometer in the warm paper, or in the warm water, and we will put that up so you can see that. Wow, you can totally see how that totally went up farther. And it's still rising. Wow. It's
Now,
way up. Oh my gosh. It's going towards 40.
Now, guys, remember when we talked about when we heat things up, right, and the molecules want to start to move around a lot, we normally would do a thermometer lab. But since we weren't able to do that, here's a great way to see that. So when the molecules start to gain thermal energy, they want to move around and spread out more. And in a thermometer, the only way they can move is up or down. So when they have more energy, because there's more thermal energy, that's why the thermometer, the red liquid, rises. So that looks like it's about 38 degrees.
I agree.
Okay. So now you're going to put 38 degrees in your table. Now, according to the directions, we are going to be stirring each beaker at the same rate while we are looking at the amount of time it takes for it to dissolve.
All right.
So
Let's get that set.
So what I'm going to do, Mrs. Thomas is going to start this stopwatch for me. I'm going to pour the sugar in at the same time for each beaker, and then I'm going to stir at the same rate while Mrs. Thomas starts
The timer.
the stopwatch. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to stop it after the first one dissolves. We're going to wait till both beakers have completely dissolved the sugar.
Sugar's going to go in. Timer's going to start. And Mrs. Moss is going to mix. I'm going to hold these steady for her. She is mixing at the same rate of speed for both, which is pretty impressive, seems how she's probably right-handed. And my right hand would go faster. Now I can tell you the one on the right-hand side, I can feel the difference in temperature.
Note the time.
The time is 27 seconds right now. And when I'm looking closely, I don't see that many particles in the right-hand side, the one with the warm water. I think we're about done at 40 seconds, Mrs. Moss, for that first one.
Okay, we're going to
For
keep
this
going
one right
for
here.
the second one.
I still see a little bit, but not much. Oops. I'd say we're done, Mrs. Moss,
Okay,
at 51 seconds.
so we said 40 seconds for the warm water.
And 51. Now we're going to pause and get set up for the next part. Go ahead and start procedure for trial number 2. In this trial, you will change the rate at which you stir the water to determine if it affects the solubility of granulated sugar. One beaker we will stir fast, and one beaker we will stir slowly. So Mrs. Moss has gotten us, we will get 2 beakers of 50 milliliters of water. There's one. This is the same temperature water, okay? And now we're gonna need our 5 grams of sugar. We're going to put our beaker on the scale. We'll use a little bit of sugar. Mrs. Moss had more than a spoonful, just about a spoonful in, so I'm gonna try and eyeball it. Ooh, a little bit more. Woo! Just a speckle more. There we go. That's 5 grams in one. I'm gonna not pour it in yet. I gotta wait until I'm ready to start. Get my 5 grams of sugar in my other beaker. Here we go. Really? There. Okay. Now, we're all set. We have our 2 beakers of similar temperature water. And I'm going to move this back so you can put that on. We might need to both mix, Mrs. Moss.
Okay.
I don't think I can do one hand fast and one hand slow. All right.
Okay, let me get this set up, and let me have the watch. We need to reset
We're
the
going to
stopwatch.
reset the timer
Okay.
and see. Now, you want to think in your head as we're doing this now, which one's going to go faster? Which is going to dissolve faster in the regular temperature water? Is it the stirring slow, which I'm going to do, or is it going to be the stirring fast, which Mrs. Moss is going to do? All right, you have your prediction? All right. Let's put it in. And I'm going slow. You can see what's happening with Mrs. Moss's. Lots of energy being transferred. Lots of motion. Mine are just kind of wisping around, not doing much. Wonder if I'm going too slow. If I look at Mrs. Moss's, oh my goodness, I don't see very many particles.
Okay, that's about 35 seconds.
I think that's about good. If you think about it, what did we have last time? We had 41 seconds. Okay.
Keep going, Mrs. Thomas.
Ever so slowly.
So we said 31 seconds, right?
That is correct. 31 seconds for the fast spinning. It's starting to break up and dissolve. It's hard not to just go ahead and do it really, really fast. All right, I would say I think we're set, Mrs. Moss.
Okay, that's 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Wow. So was your prediction right? Was it the faster stirring that dissolved the sugar particles? Or was it the slower stirring that dissolved the particles faster?
Okay, so just make sure that you add this to your Google Doc. So in beaker 1, we had 5 grams. In beaker 2, we had 5 grams. And then our rates of time for stirring, the really slow stir took 1 minute and 18 seconds, and the fast stir took 31 seconds.
Hey, welcome back. We changed clothes and we came back and started. No, sir, we just screwed up, so we had to refilm it. See? Even teachers make mistakes.
All right, guys, so this is our third trial for today's solubility lab. In this trial, we're going to be changing the particle size of the sugar. So we have already measured out 5 grams of powdered sugar. We've measured out 5 grams of a sugar cube, and we've measured out 5 grams of a granulated sugar. And Mrs. Thomas is measuring 50 milliliters of water that came straight out of the tap. So that's going to be our cold water from the faucet. And what we're doing on this one is we're going to determine if particle size makes a difference on the solubility of the sugar.
Now, remember back yesterday when you watched, and I know you paused the video that we made when it told you to, and you watched video number 2 with Michael and his buddy, and they did 3 different things. They did different things for the rate of solubility, right? Well, remember, this was one of them, the speed in which you do things, but also the particle size, and you can see that perfectly here.
Okay? All right. Do you have your timer,
Oh,
Mrs. Thomas?
see? I walked away without it. Got it.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pour our different types of sugar, because they have different particle sizes, into the beaker, and then we're going to stir at the same rate, but we're going to see how much time it takes for each of these to dissolve.
All right. Are you ready?
Oops.
I'm going to put my spoon in first.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Here, let me do one.
Ready?
You can
set,
do your timer.
Go. And stir. About the same. Now you can see clearly the differences in the colors of the cups. You can see that the one all the way on this side, which is your right side, is a little foggy. That's that powdered sugar really not dissolving very nicely because it's going to be cloudy. If you look over here at your left-hand side, which is mine, which is the granulated sugar, you might be able to see little particles in there still, but it's starting to go.
All right, I think my powdered sugar's gone, Mrs. Thomas.
Powdered sugar gone, 47 seconds.
47 seconds. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Thomas.
I think my, oh no, almost. I think my granulated sugar at a minute is good.
Okay, 1 minute. I think that was 1 minute and 3 seconds.
Wow. I think I'm getting this just right. Can you guys see how much is still in there? There's some good chunks in there.
Oh, yeah. Got it?
I got it.
Stir away.
I'm trying to keep the same rate of speed.
Look at this. This was our smallest particle size, and this was our largest particle size. I think it's making a difference.
I think the particle size does make a difference, Mrs. Moss. The video said it did, so I guess maybe everything you do see on TV is true.
Maybe so.
No, it's not. Don't believe everything you see. All right, I think we're done.
All right.
1 minute, 50 seconds.
Okay. All right, so let me walk this over just a little closer. So again, I'm gonna make sure that you can see this. So in your table for beaker number 1 that had the sugar cubes, it was 5 grams. It took 1 minute and 3 seconds to dissolve. Beaker number 2 had our granulated sugar, again 5 grams. It took 1 minute and 50 seconds. And the final beaker, which had 5 grams of powdered sugar, took 47 seconds. Make sure that looks kind of like a 7. That's a 1. Let me change that.
Now, once you have all of your tables filled in, you're not done yet, okay? In your Google Doc, there are 5 questions that need to be answered. Now, the expectation is that you answer these incomplete sentences with correct punctuation and grammar. Number 1, how did the temperature of the water affect the solubility of the granulated sugar? The granulated sugar is the kind of sugar you put on coffee or you put in cereal.
This was trial number 1, guys. Go back and look at your data table.
How did stirring the water affect the solubility of granulated sugar?
This is trial number 2. Make sure you look at your data table.
How does, number 3, how does the particle size affect the solubility? That's what we just did right here. Number 4, in this lab, what was the solute? And number 5, in this lab, what was the solvent? All right.
Don't forget, make sure you answer the questions in a complete sentence and you submit your lab to the assignment in the Google Doc.
By what time?
11:59 p.m. tonight.
Whoop, whoop. Bye.
Have a good weekend.